Let's begin with a truth most people are too afraid to admit. You will not succeed until you suffer. Not get uncomfortable, not face challenges, suffer, bleed, break. This is a warning and an invitation. A warning that the path will destroy your ego, an invitation to let it. We live in a world obsessed with shortcuts, useless growth hacks, useless morning routines, how to win without losing sleep. But here's what no one tells you. The most powerful men in history were not built in comfort. They were carved by pain. And one of the greatest warriors to ever walk this earth understood this more deeply than anyone else. His name was Miyamoto Musashi, and his life was a brutal symphony of solitude, death, obsession, and mastery. He wasn't just a samurai. He was a ghost, a shadow, who wandered the mountains starving, not for food, but for truth. And from his blood-soaked life came a lesson that modern men desperately need to hear. Suffering is not the enemy, avoiding it is. Part 1. The fire that burns the weak parts away. Musashi didn't become a legend because he was talented. He became a legend because he suffered more than most could survive. At age 13, he killed a grown man in a duel. At 16, he left home to wander the land, carrying nothing but a wooden sword and a soul too wild to be tamed. He fought not for fame, but for growth. He stepped into death's shadow over and over because he knew one thing. You do not sharpen a blade with feathers. You sharpen it with friction, with sparks, with heat. You think you're suffering now because your business isn't growing fast enough, because she left you, because you're lonely. Good. It means life is doing its job. It's forging you, but only if you stay in the fire. Musashi said, "You must understand that there is more than one path to the top of the mountain. But none of them are easy. None of them come without loss." Musashi had no home, no allies, no luxuries. He walked through hell by choice because he understood what most people never do. Comfort is a drug, and every hit makes you weaker. Suffering, that's the antidote. That's the forge where real power is born. Part 2. Solitude is the only way to hear yourself think. In a world addicted to noise, Musashi chose silence. No phone, no followers, just the wind and the weight of his own thoughts. For years he lived in caves and forests, meditating, training, writing. Why? Because he knew, to know others, you must first know yourself. And you cannot know yourself in a crowd. Solitude isn't loneliness, it's confrontation. It forces you to face your insecurities, to wrestle with your past, to kill your illusions. That's why most people avoid it, because being alone with your thoughts is terrifying until it becomes your power. Musashi embraced solitude the way a monk embraces the void, not as punishment, but as purification. Can you do the same? Can you sit in a room with no distractions, no validation, and still feel whole? Because that's where true clarity comes from. Not from scrolling, not from podcasts, from silence, from facing your own soul without flinching. Modern men chase dopamine. Musashi chased stillness, and in that stillness, he found something terrifying and divine. Today is victory over yourself of yesterday. Tomorrow is your victory over lesser men. Part 3. You learn more from losing than winning. Musashi didn't just win, he lost. Not always in combat, but in life. He lost family, companions, direction. He once fought 3 men at once and barely made it out alive, but he didn't run from defeat. He studied it. He bled, journaled, reflected. Why? Because he knew that every failure contains a lesson that success will never teach you. In the Book of 5 Rings, Musashi wrote, "Perceive that which cannot be seen with the eye. When you lose, your pride dies. Good, let it. When you fail, your ego cracks. Good, let it shatter. Because beneath the ruins of who you were, there's something waiting, who you could become." Suffering exposes your weaknesses, but it also reveals your potential, if you're willing to look. The problem with most men is they lose once and retreat forever. Musashi, he used every loss like a whetstone, not to cut others, but to cut away his ignorance. Part 4. You're supposed to break first. Here's the part no one tells you. You will break before you succeed, before you find purpose, before you become dangerous, respected, wise. You will fall apart. That's the process. Musashi wasn't born a master. He was broken, remade, broken again, and only after decades of wandering, solitude, pain, and reflection did he write the Book of 5 Rings, a text that outlived empires. You're not supposed to be strong right now. You're supposed to struggle. That's how you earn your stripes. You think becoming wise is all about reading quotes and doing morning cold plunges? You have to watch everything you love burn and then walk out of the flames with nothing but your fists and your will. Musashi suffered so deeply that by the time he became truly powerful, he had nothing left to fear. He had already died 1,000 times in silence. Real strength is forged when no one claps for you, when the world forgets you, when you fight anyway. Part 5. This is the only way out. Here's the truth, and it's harsh. There is no other path. You either suffer now and grow, or you avoid pain, rot, and collapse when life hits you harder later. Musashi knew this. That's why he didn't wait for suffering to find him. He hunted it. He invited it in like an old friend. He once carved a sword from an oar on a boat and still killed his enemy. That wasn't just skill. That was adaptation through suffering. And when he knew death was near, he didn't weep. He walked into a cave alone, sat in full meditation posture, and died on his own terms. Who does that? Someone who made peace with suffering decades ago. Someone who let pain build him instead of break him. And if you want to become dangerous in your own life, dangerous in the way that means unshakable, disciplined, untouchable, you need to do the same. You need to embrace the nights where you feel worthless. You need to thank the betrayals, the heartbreaks, the business failures, the loneliness. They are your teachers. They are the only ones that won't lie to you. Bleed now, rise later. You're here because something inside you is hungry, not for comfort, not for applause, but for transformation. You're tired of being soft, tired of feeling lost, tired of watching weaker men win because they lie louder, sell harder, and fake confidence they haven't earned. Good. Let that disgust sharpen you. That fire in your gut, it's not anger. It's your potential, screaming to be set free. The truth is, the world owes you nothing, and it never will. Musashi didn't wait for the world to give him purpose. He carved it with his own blade. He walked into chaos and made it his dojo. He didn't beg for peace. He mastered war. And now it's your turn. You don't need another motivational reel. You don't need a dopamine hit podcast or a 6-step morning routine. You need to suffer, not randomly, not recklessly, but deliberately, with discipline, with the quiet, burning certainty that every scar you earn is forging you into a weapon the world cannot break. So go. Train in silence, read in solitude, lift until your muscles scream, study until your eyes burn, dissect your fears, confront your weaknesses like a warrior confronting death. Because the man who is willing to bleed for his future will always conquer the man who wants it handed to him. The world doesn't respect intentions, it respects outcomes, and outcomes are built in the shadows, alone, in pain, with blood on your hands and fire in your eyes. Miyamoto Musashi also wrote the next words, "Do nothing which is of no use, so stop whining, stop waiting, stop fantasizing about a version of you that doesn't exist yet. Start walking the path, forge yourself, suffer now, succeed forever." Thank you for watching. If you want to see more videos, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one.